Hello, my dear students. I hope you all are fine and keeping good health. Today, I have come back once again with a new chapter, Glimpses of the Past, prescribed in your syllabus. Okay, so before starting the chapter, just we have to get an idea that this chapter is dealing with the history of our country from 1757 to 1857. Now, this is a period which is very significant in the history of our country because in the year 1757, Battle of Polashi was fought in Bengal, and the Battle of Polashi was fought between the East India Company and the Nawab of Bengal with his French allies. Allies means one who support you, one who are in group of you. They are called allies. So Nawab of Bengal and his some of his French allies, and the opponent party was the East India Company. So this Battle of Polashi was fought between the East India Company and the Nawab of Bengal with his French allies. So that's why this year 1757 is very much important, and in that battle the East India Company got the victory and it was able to spread um, its kingdom, you can say its kingdom in India, okay, rapidly and in a vast way after winning this battle. So this battle was the Battle of Polashi was won by the East India Company in the year 1757, and then the British could establish their ruling authority in India vastly and rapidly. So, in this lesson, we are going to have some pictorial glimpses and the speech bubbles which will help clarify our understanding of the conditions that led to the event known as the First War of Independence in 1857. Now, as the year 1757 is marked for the Battle of Polashi, and the year 1857 is also marked for the First War of Independence in 1857. So, that battle is called First War of Independence, which was fought in the year 1857. So, we can understand that this period 1757 to 1857, it is very much significant for our Indian history, for our Indian freedom struggle. Okay, so now let's move on. The first pictorial glimpse, the martyrs. Now we can see, we can easily guess the picture that it is at a function in Delhi, and we can very easily identify the singer. She is none other than Lata Mangeshkar, and here Indira Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru we can see in the picture, and Lataji is singing her famous song, "Oh My Countrymen, let our eyes fill with tears as you recall the sacrifices of India's martyrs." So, can you translate the song? This is a very common song and we all know this song. Oh my countrymen, ऐ मेरे वतन के लोगों, let your eyes fill with tears as you recall the sacrifices of India's martyrs. So, ऐ मेरे वतन के लोगों, ज़रा आँख में भर लो पानी, जो शहीद हुए हैं उनकी ज़रा याद करो कुर्बानी. We all know this beautiful song. So, moving to the second glimpse, the company's conquests. Conquests means the winning, the victories. Okay, the company's victories. So, with its superior weapons, the British East India Company was extending its power in 18th century India. So, after gaining the victory in the year 1757 in the Battle of Polashi, the East India Company was extending its power and supremacy in 18th century in India. Now, here is a map. We can see that this map is of India during the year 1765, and the yellow portion is Indian princess. They belong to Indian princess in the year 1765. Okay, and this pink part, you can see this pink part, it is British territory. Okay, it is the British territory after winning the battle of Palashi, because it was fought in Bengal, so they just started to extend their supremacy from the province of Bengal. So it is the map of India in the year 1765, where most part is still then under Indian princess, and this pink portion was ruled by the British territory. Okay. Now, Indian princes were short sighted. What is the meaning of short sighted? Short sighted, sight means your vision, your view. Short sighted means they were not able to see far future. They were not able to see the results, the consequences, what is going to happen in the far future. Their vision was not clear. Okay, they are called short sighted. So Indian princes were short sighted. They were not able to see what is going to happen next, what is the consequences of far future. So that upstart Rajahwa called the English merchants, they will help me to defeat him. So what does it signify? That all the Indian princes, they were fighting with each other, and in these fightings they were taking the help of British merchants, English merchants. Merchants means, you know, businessmen. So the Indian princes who were involved and engaged with fighting with each other, and in these fightings they were taking the helps of British merchants, English merchants, and in return the English merchants were making them their slaves. They were making them to accept all their conditions. Okay, so they will help me to defeat him, and in this they were not seeing what is going to happen next, that they are becoming the slaves of these English merchants. The Indian princes could not see the fact. The people had no peace due to such constant fights. Now the rivalries helped the East India Company, and it could easily subdue Indian princes one by one. Rivalries means the enmities. Now the Indian princes, they were the enemies, they were becoming the enemies of each other. They were busy in fighting with each other. Okay, so this enmities is called rivalries. The rivalries helped the East India Company, and it could easily subdue Indian princes one by one. Subdue means the British were able to defeat them. Okay, the British were able to rule over these Indian princes one by one. A far-seeing ruler like the brave Tipu of Mysore fought the British till he died fighting. Though mostly the Indian princes were short-sighted, a far-seeing ruler, far-seeing means one who could see the future, what's going to happen in the far future, who is having that capacity or capability, he is called far-seeing. So Tipu Sultan was such a far-seeing ruler of Mysore who fought the British till he died fighting. Now these are some expressions. How did Indians react to these conquests? Now, how did Indians react to this conquest? So different people have different opinions, different reactions. Some were saying, thank God there is peace in the country now, no more wars and no looting by thugs. Some people were happy, thinking that now our Indian princes were involved in fighting with each other. Now this fighting is going to be stopped and no looting by thugs. And some were very happy while they said it is God who sent the British. And some said our destiny is linked with them. So some people, they were happy with the British territory. And most people, what were they feeling? The white man has killed or dethroned our kings. Dethrone means to snatch away or to take the throne. Throne, you know, Singhasan. कि throne means Singhasan, or Singhasan se hata dena, that is called dethrone. So taking away or snatching the throne, okay, forcefully, that is called dethrone. So the white man means here the British people, they have just killed or dethroned our kings. Some kings were not good, but after all they were of this land. Now we have become slaves of foreigners. So these were the reactions of Indian people. Now in this picture we can see the British rule from the year 1765 to the year 1836. Religious leaders preached ideas like untouchability and child marriage. Okay, preach means teaching by a religious leader, that is called preached. Preaching. Teaching by a religious leader, that is called preach. So religious leaders preached ideas like untouchability and child marriage because there was lack of education at that time. Anyone who crosses the seas loses his religion. Now these were very fake concept that if one crosses the seas, he or she will lose his religion. Now some religious leaders, they preach that all the misery in the world is due to women. Misery means problems. Now, all the problems, all the miseries in this world is due to women. Now this type of things came out because there was no education, and without education one cannot think logically and rationally. And that's why the religious leaders, they took upper hand, and they were just misleading our countrymen by saying these fake concepts, fake things. And people very easily believed these things because they were not properly educated and not properly aware. So that's why they were not having the power to believe or think uh, the things rationally and logically. So the truth was that Indians had lost self-respect. The British scorned them. Scorned means hated them. The natives are unworthy of trust, incapable of honesty. True, Your Honor, but I am honest. Now, few people, they just tried to convince the British, and they were in the um, favor of British people. They were just trying to make the British people happy and gain some profit from them. Now, being merchants, the British wanted quick profits. Their heavy taxes forced farmers to abandon their fields. Now, the East India Company was a merchant company. So, being merchants, the British, they wanted quick profits. Their heavy taxes forced, they were taking heavy taxes from the farmers, and they just after paying the heavy taxes, they were not able to do anything, and they had to abandon their fields. Abandon means leave. But your men are taking all my crop. You are still in arrears. If you don't pay next week, I will send you to jail. So, while the farmers tried to protest that your men have taken all my crops, then they used to say that, but you are still in arrears. Arrears means the due payments. That means you are still having your due payments and you have to pay. So if you don't pay next week, I will send you to jail. In this way, the farmers or the peasants, they were threatened by the English people. Inevitably, famines followed between 1822 and 1836. 15 lakh Indians died of starvation. It was very obvious because they tried to exploit our Indian farmers and peasants by taking heavy taxes and by torturing them, oppressing them. So it was quite inevitable. Inevitably means quite, it was sure. It was certain, it was sure that famines followed. Famines, you know, that there was no food, no water, and without water, no one can cultivate crops. So famine followed between 1822 and 1836. 15 lakh Indians died of starvation. Starvation, you know, without having any food. Still, the British invented other methods which gave them more profits. The goods manufactured in England should not have any import duty when brought into India. A good idea. the East India Company's laws began to cripple Indian industries. Now, as East India Company was British merchant company, their sole purpose was how to gain profit from this country, from the countrymen of this country. So, firstly and foremostly, they started to oppress the Indian farmers and peasants by um, taking heavy taxes from them, and then they invented other methods in the process of gaining quick profits. What did they do? Now the goods manufactured in England, when they were exported to India, so they should not have any import duty when brought into India. Okay, so they were not giving any kind of taxes. So the East India Company's laws began to cripple Indian industries. So after the farmers and peasants, they started exploiting the Indian industries. The British policies ruined the expert artisans and the business. Now during the period 1772 and 1833, there was in this era, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, a learned man from Bengal, understood what was wrong with the country. Now, Ram Mohan Roy, a learned man from Bengal, he could realize what was going to happen and what is happening. So, understood what was wrong with the country. Let us not despise ourselves. Our ancient culture is great and we are capable of greater achievements. We must first reform our society. Superstitions have been ruining us. He told his wife Uma, cows are of different colors, but the color of their milk is the same. Different teachers have different opinions, but the essence of every religion is the same. So Ram Mohan Roy was a learned man from Bengal. He understood what was wrong with the country, and so he was focusing on the fact how to reform the society, how to make a society to be reformed and superstitions to be washed away from our society. So once he told his wife Uma, cows are of different colors, but the color of their milk is the same. And different teachers have different opinions, but the essence of every religion is the same. So he was in the opinion that different religious teachers may preach different things, but the essence of every religion is the same.